everybody, and welcome back to the No Haters Club podcast. I am your host, Claudia Campbell, and I am just thrilled that you are here with us today. I think that it is so fun to be able to do this. I get to record about once a week, and it's just, I look forward to it. I really do. Today, I'm actually recording on a Thursday, and I'm really pumped up about this topic because it's something that I'm super passionate about. Here on the No Haters Club podcast, we just really enjoy having fun talking about real topics. My goal is honestly to just make you feel like you have a safe space somewhere that you can go, and I really just hope that this can be one of the safe places that you find, and that you know that I'm 100%, I don't know why I said it the way I did. Y'all, I've been having so much trouble recently, I feel like, with my words. My brain thinks 10 times faster than my mouth can speak, so I trip over my words sometimes. It is so funny. We just like to have a fun time on here, talk about real topics, and I hope you guys know that I'm 100% honest. There's a lot of hard topics that I do not skirt around. I want to address them. I want to be a part of the Big C church, a part of the church across the globe that's doing my job in talking about topics that I feel like sometimes churches don't address. And also just helping you guys see you're not alone. I am also a young person in this generation, growing up, figuring things out. I don't know everything, but the stuff that I do know, I want to talk with you guys about. And so today, I am so excited. It's definitely going to be more of a practical topic. Today, we're going to be talking about the gym, working out, all things working out, health, mind, body, all of it. And I'm super happy because I'm pretty much a gym rat. My friends can tell you, oh my goodness. Y'all, so right now it's a storm outside. I just saw lightning. It's been lightning off and on. So if you hear thunder in the background, that's what it is. But no, I am a gym rat. I love working out. I love talking about the gym. And so this conversation is really just going to be one if we were to get coffee and you were to say, Claudia, I want to transform my fitness life. I feel like I'm not where I am. I want to get to a point. Maybe I work out a little bit, but I'm just not feeling it. Or maybe you're somebody who's barely works out ever at all. And I want to get to that point. I think the cool thing is, so I'm somebody who did not start out in just growing up working out. I did not know how to do half of the exercises, the lifting, the gym lingo, all of the unspoken things I did not know. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. I want you to feel good whenever you go to the gym. I want you to feel good when you work out. I want you to be working out for the right reasons, not the wrong reasons. So I know typically this is a faith-based podcast. We talk about a lot of Christian content, a lot of topics. So we will be incorporating that in this episode, but it's also just going to be an episode where we legitimately just talk about fitness. And I'm excited for this one. So the first thing that I did want to address is that there's some Christians who are why would you be talking about this? I know a lot of my audience aren't those people, but there are some people out there who think and have had this belief for the longest time, and maybe you are this person that has felt bad about working out, or you feel bad if you want to do something to make your body look good. And I just want to remind you, I just want to tell you I don't think Jesus ever intended for us to hate our bodies. I don't think that he ever intended for us to on trying to not err on the side of being prideful. I don't think he ever intended for us to be oh, I'm just not going to enjoy my body either, okay? So I think that it's definitely okay to enjoy the way you look. I think it's okay to put effort in how you look. Just like you enjoy getting your hair cut, just like you enjoy maybe if you get your eyelashes or your eyebrows done. I don't even know why I picked that because I don't get either of those. Well, I laminate my own eyebrows, I guess. Getting your nails done, all of that stuff. I think it is totally okay to enjoy how you feel and how you look. I think that's awesome. The only part that I would say that I've had to struggle with too in the past, and the part that you have to look out for whenever you become really big and working out is not making that an idol, because it can be so easy to slip into this idea of you start to make how you look your idol. And if you don't look good, if you have an off day, if you feel you don't look the best, today, I'm not wearing makeup, right? And the hard part comes in if I were to make my body an idol, then if I didn't feel like I looked the best, then I would feel like I couldn't do anything today. I would feel like I'm worthless. And whenever you find, it's just not a good idea to find your worth in your looks anyway, because one day you're going to be old and wrinkly and you're not going to look good. And there's some things too that you just can't control, right? And so anyway, I just want to start out, and I just want to talk a little bit about like going to the gym. And I want to share a little bit of my story first to start out. So if you follow me on Instagram, if you follow me on TikTok, then you probably know I love going to the gym. In fact, I go to the gym a minimum of 3 times a week. If it's a really busy week, but I typically go 5 to 6 times a week. I really love going to the gym. And it did not start out that way, period, at all. So whenever I was a kid, I was more so lazy, and the fact that I hate to even say lazy. Since I was little, I've always been extremely like doing something. I've had a task in front of me and I've done it, right? But whenever it comes to working out, I enjoyed playing sports, but I was chubby as a kid. And so because of that, I just didn't grow up like going on runs, going on workouts with my family. Like I know there are some families who did, but I didn't. And my family was very big into like, you know, we don't want to pressure you into feeling like you have to make your body look a certain way. We don't want to pressure you into making you feel like my parents, they would exercise, and on different parts of their lives, they would do different sorts of exercise too. So I was exposed to different exercise. Lifting weights was never really something that I was exposed to until a few years ago, though. Like whenever I was younger, like my mom would do the Pilates workout, and sometimes for fun I would do it with her. But that's the one thing about my childhood that I do appreciate is I never felt pressured. Like, oh my goodness, you don't have a size 2 waist. What are you talking about? Like, I never felt that way even one time. And it made me feel really, like, all of those thoughts that I did have came from myself, came from comparison of me to somebody else. And so, but whenever I was little, I would be active. I loved sports, but I never really, like, worked out, quote unquote, you know? And I remember whenever it got into middle school, sports becoming more competitive, and then too, whenever you are in middle school, like you have the hormonal influxes, and so what ends up happening too is there's some people who lose a lot of weight or look super skinny, then there's some people who look like super chubby. The way I grew, especially in middle school, with the way that I was just growing and growing up too, your body goes through a major shift in middle school. And I remember just like feeling so fat, feeling so big, like all of a sudden, and I really wasn't. Like I look back in the pictures, I'm like, girl, stop it. Like I wish I could go back and just change all of the negative self-talk that I told myself, because I think that did more damage to me than, like, I just blew it out of proportion. I thought I was way bigger than I was. I thought that I was just, it was so bad because I was very insecure about how I looked, and I think it's just the middle school thing of growing up, and I wish I could tell myself, like, listen, you're not always going to look this way, like, it's just a phase you have to go through. So if you're in middle school right now struggling with that, it's just a phase, and one day, hopefully, you'll probably grow out of it. You'll grow into your skin a little bit, but also if you're in high school, there's another body change that happens after high school, that your body changes again. Like, it takes you years to grow into the body, like your adult body, and your body continues to change. So I would say just like don't put too much pressure. But I remember in middle school going out to the soccer team, and I started playing soccer more competitively, and then there started to be a distinction between the people who could run super fast and the people who couldn't. And I just could not run super fast. I think I've always had, like, bad genetics when it's come to running, because I have been, like, thicker, but I've also been, like, shorter, too, right? So I've just struggled with the running genes, and my short little legs would have to move, like, twice as fast. I just remember in middle school, I think whenever my fitness journey really begins picking up in COVID. So it was right in 8th grade, yeah. So 8th grade was my COVID year, right? And so what happens is, this is so funny to me, think about it, I had a basement, and it was like, it was small. Like, it was big for a room. Like, think about your stereotypical basement, but it's not big enough to be like a running track. But I used this concrete, unfinished basement as my running track, and I want to say it was like probably 30 laps or 40 laps would probably be a mile. Like, that's how small this room is. And I so badly wanted to be on the soccer team in high school, and the way that my high school soccer team worked is I had heard all these rumors from people that soccer team was awesome. Like, it was amazing. And if you wanted to be on it, you had to have a 9-minute mile. That is the word I heard. Now, whenever I went to these tryouts, I realized that, like, it wasn't mandatory, but I was so anxious about, like, I have to have a 9-minute mile or I won't be able to play the sport I love. And so I think I started off and my mile was like a 14-minute mile, y'all. It was so slow, but also I was in middle school, so like give me some grace, okay? And I remember just like running, and I remember hating running. I hated running. I still hate running, but I'm better at it now than I used to be. And so I remember that 8th grade year when COVID kind of locked down, I decided I just wanted to get a lot more fit than I was, because I'd really struggled with running my 8th grade season, and I wanted to become fit. I wanted to be able to do it. So I remember I made myself do this like workout routine. So basically, I thought I knew what HIIT workouts were. I don't think I did them right, but I would do a 20-minute workout every other day, and for like a minute and a half or two minutes, I would like jog, and then I would like sprint, or I don't know exactly how I did it. All I know is I would like run. Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think I would like run for 2 minutes and then walk for a minute or something like that. And you guys, doing that 20-minute workout every other day killed me. Like, I do not know how to describe it. I would rather, if it was raining outside, I would do it inside, have music, I would run outside. But that thing killed me, and I could not have imagined working out every day. Like, if you would have told little 8th grade me the spring of my 8th grade year during COVID, Claudia, you're going to be a gym rat who loves working out every day, who has to cap herself working out at an hour. Some days you go to an hour and a half because you love it so much. I would look at your face and been like, you're crazy. That is not me at all. Because I just I think I had this belief inside my head too. Oh, I'm not athletic. And that just stopped me from a lot. I also really liked sitting on the couch watching TV, being on my little iPad or computer or whatever it was. And I think that just kind of stopped after I started to really work out more often. So whenever I did that 20-minute on, 20 minutes off, I remember going to tryouts, and I had done this for like months, and I thought for sure, I think too, I kind of felt entitled. Like, I was like, I've been working out for like 2 months. I feel like that I should be able to go on my team. And I remember praying and be like, God, could you just have this supernaturally happen? And like, now what I know about fitness, and this is kind of the stuff I also want to get in, it's just my own personal tips. I know that like, if I wanted bigger results, I had to have worked out more than just 20 minutes a day. But also at that point in my brain, working out was running, and I hated running. And in my brain, working out was just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just hard. So I remember, and running for 20 minutes a day is a good bit, I feel like. Like, even if you're running, walking for an 8th grader, for me, that was so hard. And so I remember going on the team, and I was in the same boat as all the freshmen. And it wasn't a 14-minute mile, it was like a 12-minute mile. But I was so proud of myself for at least finishing. And I remember I wasn't the slowest person, and that's all that mattered. And I had to stop and walk like a few times, but I felt like I learned so much after that I just, like, I really want to share with you guys. So then after that, I'm going to try to be quicker with my story. After my 8th grade year, tried out on the team, made the team. My soccer team was so intense with their workouts, you guys. Like, it was intense. Like, I worked out more that year. I pushed myself. It was the hardest thing I think I've done. Like, it was so difficult, you guys. Like, it really was. And so I remember during that time, because we would do things almost like, we would do some weights, but it was mainly like lunges, it was squats, it was conditioning. And I was the healthiest I'd been in such a long time. I remember seeing physical results finally, and I felt so good. I loved feeling good, but I pushed myself so hard. Like, I don't know how to describe it, except like, I remember there was one weekend I was so sore. Like, my muscles had never been this sore before. It wasn't just like an ouch, this is sore. It was, I could not move. Like, I woke up and I physically was like in bed almost all day, you guys, because my muscles like didn't work, because that's how much like we'd been working out. And I look back now and I know that it's because like it was my first time really introducing myself into working out. It was my first time really like showing myself, hey, this muscle is supposed to do that. This muscle is supposed to break down and it's supposed to renew. And so at the end of the summer, every year, at the very beginning of school, we would do this thing called Death at Dawn. And basically what we would do is we would go at 5:30 a.m. in the morning and we would run for an hour, and then after school we would have soccer practice too. And so there would be times I would look on my Apple Watch and I would have like 3-4 miles that we'd ran. I remember the hardest thing that I still remember is pain. Like, the hardest thing for me working out would have been that summer. The hardest time of my life when it came to working out was that summer, whenever I had to force myself to work out because that's what my team was doing. And there was also like peer pressure. I feel like working out with people, I felt like so insecure, and I felt like, oh my goodness, they're going to kick me off the team. I was really in my head too. And so going back, I wish I could tell myself, like, take a chill pill, do the best you can, and enjoy it. But because I was such a people pleaser, because of that, I just would like want to do it for them. I remember we took a 30-minute run and it almost killed me. I could not believe I had run for 30 minutes straight. Like, yeah, I did walk part of it, but it was like I maybe walked like a minute and a half. And I could not believe it was way longer than a minute and a half, probably. I could not believe. So then, but to this point, all of my working out, I felt really great that summer, but all of my working out was for a sport. Like, on my off season, I wouldn't work out. I would eat whatever, and then I would feel bad about my body. I would even like try to eat healthy. I'd feel bad about my body because I was like, oh, you're not working out. So I wasn't seeing the results of that. But I hated working out, and I didn't want to work out like in the winter time because it was cold. And even though I would eat healthy, my metabolism was slower than some of my friends. So some of my friends, y'all, I think we all have those friends who could eat a whole pizza, go to Taco Bell, order half of what they have in stock, and they would somehow end up losing weight, right? I would eat a salad and I felt like I would gain like 5 pounds. But also you have to realize this is the peak of Claudia being very insecure about her body. Like, I feel like middle school, freshman year, like that was really rough for me. And my body was still growing. I think that was a big deal about it. But that was a cycle that I would go into, is I would work out during my on season or soccer, and then I wouldn't work out during the winter, and then I would start kind of maybe March, April, and I would try to work out again. So I remember I had a friend from church, and at this point it was like fall, and I really tried working out. Like, I was really trying to work out after school. I think I stuck with it for like a few weeks of like whether it was running or working out. That's what it was. I think we ended up getting, no, that would have been my sophomore year. Never mind. I never thought I would get my years mixed up until now I'm older, and I do get my years mixed up. Oh my goodness. But anyway, so I remember having a friend, and I think this was my 9th grade year. Yeah. My 9th grade year, I told her, I was like, it was in the winter, January. I think it was in January. I do remember that. It was in the winter, and I was kind of bummed because that winter, like October when my season ended to like January, I hadn't really been working out. But I was like, I really love working out. And I was kind of in that phase where I was like, like I'm still a gym rat. Even though I didn't even go to a gym and I was not a gym rat. At that point, I just had really enjoyed that summer working out. And she had told me, she was like, I can so recognize like the change. Like, I could tell you look good. And I was like, hey, let's go. I look good. But it was honestly because I was very insecure. And so then there was a very long time. At that point, I felt like I had to work out so that I would like my body. I had to work out because my body needed to change. And so I remember talking to her, and she was telling me how she'd been doing these at-home workouts. She discovered them in quarantine, and I had not. And so she was telling me about these at-home workouts. And so, I go on and I'm looking at all these at-home workouts of like Pilates, ab exercises. They even have like lower body, upper body, and there would be these challenges, and they would guarantee like smaller waist in 14 days or like, and I remember taking this 30-day challenge. It was like in March or April, and it was a 30-day challenge, 20-minute workout every single day. Lily Sabri. And I love Lily Sabri. But it was the type of workouts that were meant to burn calories through like a lot of cardio or like Pilates. But again, it was very much like about what you ate. And so like at that point, because I am growing, I required to eat more calories, and I just couldn't see the change. And I was so proud of myself because I'd come home from school and I would do a workout for 20 minutes and it killed me. But every single day I did it. I had like a rest day every week, but I did it for 20 minutes. And again, I thought I'm going to be so much stronger at the end of this. And I was stronger, but again, it wasn't the results that I really wanted to see. I hated working out. So then it cycled back into another summer of just running, working out with my team, feeling awesome about myself. And then afterwards, doing the at-home workouts again, but I didn't really love the at-home workouts. And I don't know when it was, but at some point, I think it was with that friend who had told me about the at-home workouts, I was able to work out with her in her gym, and I was like, wait, this is kind of fun. And like, wait, you're telling me I burn more calories and like I feel like I get more done? That's what it was. My soccer team would lift weights like once a week with this gym, which is a key part in the story for later. And I remember going on the bar, I did bench press. And bench press is hard, don't get me wrong. But this is where I started out, you guys. We were doing PRs, like we were doing personal records. So it was just like they were seeing everything that you could do. And they were just like, okay, we're doing a fitness test, basically. They put me on the bench. And I remember freshman summer, I could only do 4 reps of the bar. Only 4 reps. And like oh my goodness, the social shame. I felt so embarrassed because the other girl in my group could do 13 reps of the bar and I could only do 4. But again, I remember that's a very normal thing for somebody my age who had never worked with weights before. Like it's literally so normal. But again, I hated myself and my body. Because I felt like I was holding myself to a higher standard. At some point after that sophomore summer, we finally ended up getting a gym membership, and I was able to actually start lifting weights, and I would do like workouts I saw on different things. At this point, I went in the gym and it was my first time, and I was like, everybody is watching me. They know I'm new here. But I would work out in the mornings before school. I would go from like 6 a.m. to 7, go home, get ready, get to school. And I loved it. I loved lifting. And so basically that kind of started my journey with lifting that fall. And then that spring, I ended up getting the opportunity God just opened it, because I remember really praying, being like, God, would you give me an opportunity to really just like work out? Because I would really enjoy like working out at a gym. And little did I know that the gym he had planned for me was way better than the gym I was actually praying for. Because I was praying for like, it was like a local gym that just had weights, and I was like, I would love a gym like that. But he had a better gym. There was like an elite athlete training gym, and it was like 10 minutes from my house, and it was the gym that my soccer team could only afford to go to once a week. But he opened up the door, worked out everything to where I ended up becoming really close to the trainer and his family, because it ended up working out that for that whole spring and summer semester of my sophomore year, I was able to work out. But he was so hardcore. Like, I low-key felt like at this point that it was like boot camp, and it was just, y'all, it was so hard. I worked out with football players who are probably going to get signed to like a D1 school. Like, there are some football players that are really good. Like, this is an elite athlete gym. I'm not like, I don't know how to describe it, except like this thing is hardcore. And he would have sessions, and the only sessions that were available to me basically were the 5 a.m. session or the 5:30 a.m. session. So it was mentally tough. They wouldn't just push you physically, they would push you mentally. It was like however much the highest weight you thought you could possibly do, they would like double that or do like way more, and mentally you'd look at these weights and you'd be like, hey, I can't even do, or this was me starting out. Once you got going and you got stronger to the point where you could do it, they wouldn't push you this hard. But like the first initial few times that I went, the few weeks, they were having to almost like shock my body into the reality of like, you have to build muscle, you have to get with the program, you have to push yourself, you're gonna have to do things you don't want to do. And at this point it was just like it was wild, because I remember picking up 25-pound dumbbells and having to do like a shoulder press, which is like lifting your arms in the air. And I just remember I was like, I called one of the trainers over. I was like, I can't do this movement. Like, my arms physically can't. And I remember he held my arms and he put them in the motion they were supposed to go. And he was like, you just have to try. And I stood there and I couldn't hold it. And for like the 30-second circuit that we were doing before I switched exercises, I just tried to do it. But it was that. So, and this is a key part that I kind of left out. In the fall of that year, I had gone through a breakup right after my freshman summer. And oh my goodness, y'all, I did. And so basically that like fueled, it wasn't just that though. It was a breakup, and then there were a few other things that were going on in my life that were really hard. I had like the best summer that turned into the worst summer, had some friendship drama. I had a lot of people walk out of my life in that season, and not to mention like there was just a bunch of other stuff I was battling that was really hard for me. The fall of my sophomore year, and working out became my therapy. Like, I could not control my circumstances, but I could control what I lifted. I could control putting all of that energy. But for me, and I know for a lot of people it was about control, for me specifically, I felt weak. I had always felt weak growing up. I felt like because I had a big heart, I was weak. And in the gym, it was like the one place I could be strong. It was the one place that even if I was lifting the lightest weight there, I felt the power. And I felt like, oh my goodness, like, you are strong. And you're a strong person, and you can do hard things. And you can push yourself to do hard things that you never thought you could, and you can control it. And it also, it taught me so much. And so even though those hard things were going on at that point in my life, like, I just remember I was also very joyful during that season. I also had like awesome things going on in that season. But the gym honestly became a lot of my peace, a lot of the things. So that for me, the fall of my sophomore year, is when everything switched. Like, it just flipped, and I just loved it. And I discovered lifting too. And so I figured that I actually loved working out. I just hated cardio. I loved lifting. I just hadn't tried all of the workout programs that I hated. So here, that's kind of my story of the gym. After I went to that athlete training gym, I ended up moving to a different town, but it was like one of my favorite experiences, an amazing part of just the story that God worked out that I loved. And it taught me a lot about fitness. It taught me a lot about just life in general. And so here are the kind of tips that I want to talk to you about working out. So now you know that I am not just this person who was born with awesome genetics and just like immediately was like coming out of the womb lifting weights. That was not me at all. I had to force myself. And so here's what I say. If you have hard things in your life that you have to go through, honestly use it as motivation for the gym. Use it as motivation for working out. And you can choose what working out you do. My number one thing I tell everybody is I say, if somebody comes to me and they're like, Claudia, I just am struggling because I don't know how to work out, this is what I say to them. I say, okay, look, find the working out that you love. It might be Pilates, it might be yoga, it might be cardio, it might be lifting weights. I loved lifting weights because I hated cardio. I hated cardio. And with lifting weights, it was not this movement of like pain. Like, I could feel my muscles collapse and I could feel my muscles give out, but I loved it because I only had to do a few reps and I felt strong. I felt buff afterwards, and I also saw a lot of improvement. I saw like muscle growth. So it made me feel really good. So if you hate cardio, try lifting. I personally, and this is how a lot of people will wonder, like, I don't even know how to get into lifting. I will get into that in a second. I will talk about just like if you're starting off your workout plan, this is what I would give you. But what I've also learned too is this, and this just brings it into like a Christian, like Christian worldview basically. God says your body is a temple. That is not something that you should be ashamed of. Temples were ornate. Temples were designed for a purpose. They were expensive. Okay? And likewise, your body is beautiful and you should be proud of it. You should realize it is ornate. It is awesome. And because of that, you should respect it enough to treat it like the house of God that it is and say, I'm going to treat you really well. And I'm going to put good food. And I'm going to work you out. Not because I hate my body, but because I respect it. And for the longest time, because I was working out from the standpoint of I want to change my body, whenever I didn't see the results I wanted, I would get really discouraged. And I would have trouble continuing to stay motivated. I would have trouble to continually, like, go forward. The other thing is that I would gravitate towards exercises like cardios that would burn calories that I didn't really enjoy. But the cool thing about how God made our bodies to work is that whenever you work out, you release endorphins. And so you sweat out toxins, your dopamine, like it hits your dopamine receptors, you feel good, you feel productive. All of the ways that we're supposed to experience the dopamine release in our brain organically, that is what it hits whenever you work out. Like social media stuff like that, these faux sense of like dopamine receptors, that doesn't always happen. Whenever you go to social media, you know how you kind of feel like bleh afterward? It's not the same with working out. So here are the tips I have whenever it comes to working out and the gym. And the first thing I would say is the first time, like if you're somebody who's never really been into working out, or you've tried working out but you haven't worked out in months or years, let me just say this, the first few months are going to be the hardest. Because not only are you teaching your muscles what it feels like to work out again, or for the first time, but you're learning a habit. Habits are very hard to form, and they honestly they take time, but once you have them, it is very hard to stop them. Once you have your habit, it'll actually end up working for you. Like now, because working out is a habit for me, it's not hard for me to get up and work out. But whenever it wasn't a habit for me, it was excruciating. Now I can go to the gym for hours and I love it and it's fine. But when I first started out, it was the hardest. So I would just say, remember this. People would always say 3 weeks before you see results. I disagree with that. For me, it took much longer. For me, it took a month or two for me to really see results. But I will say this, you will feel results by the first week, by 2 weeks, honestly, if you continually stay with it. And then the other thing I say is consistency over time. If you are just starting out, start out with a 30-minute workout. Even if that's literally just you taking a walk outside, even if it's you going to lift weights and you take a lot of breaks in between. Start out being consistent, even if you only have a little bit of time to be consistent with. Because I promise you that consistency will help you. If you worked out, if you did a 20-minute workout every single day, you're going to see more results than if you just worked out one time a week. Also, the other reason that I liked weights is that I didn't have to work out every single day starting out. I could work out 3 times a week. I could work out and I would still feel good and I would be healthy, and it made me feel really well. I saw this quote once from, and this is going back to the Temple of the Holy Spirit thing. I saw this quote on TikTok the other day, and it was like, God says that because we are dwelling places of the Holy Spirit, it's like you're the house of the Holy Spirit, right? And because of that, do you want him to live in a trailer park or a mansion? And so she was basically saying, like, it's not just because you want to look good. It's also because you want your body to be very able to be functioning. I remember I heard the sermon once and they were just talking about how gluttony is a sin. And they were talking about how whenever we work out, whenever we become strong, eat healthy, we're now able to do more things easier for Christ. If God says, hey, I want you to go help that person do this and have a gospel opportunity, because you're healthy, you're able to do things that if you weren't healthy, you would be limited. So like if I wasn't healthy, if I had trouble doing this or doing that, then there might be an opportunity I would miss in serving the kingdom. Whereas if I'm healthy, if I'm strong, I might be able to witness to that person, or I might be able to do things. And I would say too, like, the hard part is whenever you're working out, you probably in your brain are thinking like, oh, I have to look like this in order to be deemed as healthy. That's not the case. Being healthy, and this thought is kind of something that I realized a little bit ago. It changed my world. And it was, whatever you look like, whenever you're eating healthy, when you're working out, whatever your body looks like whenever you're doing that, and whenever you're not going to the unhealthy stem of punishing yourself with how much you're working out, punishing yourself by starving yourself. If you're in this middle area of you're eating healthy about 80% of the time, but you're also enjoying life, you're enjoying your food, that is what your body's going to look like. And I'll say, depending on your body type, depending on your metabolism speed, like depending on all that, genetics, all of that will factor into how am I going to look. Because you might look super skinny. You might look bigger or thicker than other people do. I know a lot of guys who feel really small, who feel like, oh, I want to be bigger, but they have a really hard time bulking because their metabolism is so fast, right? But if they're eating healthy, if they're working out, then that is them in a healthy state. I don't think that God meant for us to idolize our bodies. I don't think that God meant for us to say, like, oh, I have to be this. I think that He meant for us to be healthy, to live healthy lives, to enjoy fitness, to take joy out of working out, out of pushing ourselves, but to also enjoy ourselves. Like, I think that our bodies, we should respect it, and we should see that God wants us to enjoy our bodies. And if we give back to our bodies by being healthy, by eating well, then what happens is I have found that I personally feel better. Mentally, I have more space. I interact with people better. There's a lot of pent-up energy I would have that I would just take out, and I used to be so aggressive. And now I go to the gym, and it kind of helps ease that a little bit. And this is just something that I have found in my life that it's really, really helped me with. But I wanted to just talk a little bit about like my health tips real quick before I go. And what I would say to you, if you're somebody who's like just starting out, you really want to get into fitness, but you're like, I don't know. I feel like I'm not meant for that. I would say first change your mindset. I would say first be like, you know what? No, right now I'm not where I want to be, but I can be. I'm fully capable of that. I would use, like I said, your challenges for your motivation, and I would start looking at your body and going, you know what? I'm working you out not because I feel like I need to change you, even though, yeah, I want to look good and that'll be a side effect of it. I'm going to work you out because I appreciate you. And I want you to approach the gym in that sense. I have learned so much just through discipline. Like, the discipline of going to the gym every single day has taught me so much, not just like in my physical everyday, but in my spiritual walk. All of a sudden now, whenever I have to be put through momentary pain, I realize I'm developing spiritual muscle. And now I approach situations going, okay, God, you're teaching me discipline right now. There's something just I can't even explain about showing up and doing something every day that you don't always want to do. Whenever you don't have motivation, whenever you do have motivation, and then seeing the results afterward. I found there was so much in my life that I could shortcut, but I couldn't shortcut the gym. And because of that, it taught me patience. And it taught me that good things happen whenever you're diligent. That you would rather do smaller things a lot of times than do one big thing and then never do it again. And so I would say, if you're wanting to go to the gym, this is how I do my workouts. I do lifting, and I typically do, my first day, I do back and biceps because those are complementary muscles. And so I just do a whole circuit of biceps, back, whether I used to really get a lot of my like workouts from TikTok or Instagram, and I would just search in like back and biceps workouts. Now I know enough that I just pretty much do my own thing. I see other people do their thing. I switch it up. Then my second day, and this is something I've been doing recently, I have been doing, I know a lot of people do push, pull, and legs, and your push workout, no, it's your pull workout is your back and bicep workout, but this is the split I do, which is basically a push, pull, and then 2 different leg days. But I'm just going to explain it like you don't know what push and pull means. So then pushing is the muscles you would use to push, which is your chest, your triceps. Also, with your back and biceps, I'll also do my shoulders as well. And so first day, I do back, biceps, shoulders. Second days, I do glutes, hamstrings. Third day, I do triceps, chest. And the fourth day, I just do like quads, calves. And then the 5th day, I'll typically do like abs, cardio. And a lot of times, I don't end up doing like a 6th day just because I'm so busy. I just continue doing that. But that's pretty much the cycle I do, and I really enjoy it because I continue to do cardio and I push myself. I just really enjoy it. The other tips I would have: drink water. It helps your body in so many ways. Like I said, find a workout you enjoy. Make sure to get your protein in. Sometimes you need to up your calories because you're burning more. I used to accidentally starve myself not knowing I was. When it comes to food, I just wanted to say this real quick. I heard somebody say once, and I feel like that this is really good. As much as I hated to admit it, 80%, the 80-20 rule, 80% of the time, like 80% of how you end up looking is about the food you eat. 20% of the time, it's about the workouts you do. But I will say this, workouts will change your appearance. You will be able to see things. And depending on what you're working out, what you want your body to look like depends on what you need to eat. I personally try to stay away from processed foods. I try to eat more meat, protein, just like good old food, and get in my protein. And then I drink a ton of water. But those are things that you can also research, that you can figure out what you want to eat for your body size. And what